All right, let's get some more analysis on this. The Director General at the Center for International Forestry Research, Robert Nasi, joins me now from Bogor in Indonesia. Robert, good to have you on the show. In Melinda's package, she was mentioning some of the effects of deforestation. I'd like to talk to you about some of the causes because it could be often overlooked. I mean, what do you think are the prime causes for deforestation?
Depends where you are. If you're in the tropics, the prime cause for deforestation are agriculture and large-scale agriculture in Latin America, for example, small-scale agriculture in Africa. 80% of the tropical forests that have been deforested is because of agriculture. But then you have mining, infrastructure, I mean, a sort of fundamentally all the things that we have done in developed country in that resulted in less forest. So main cause as it is now in the tropical forest is agriculture. Main cause in the boreal forest is more climate change and forest fire.
Okay. You said it all depends on where we are. I believe that we have gone through periods of heavy deforestation in the past. I was reading a National Geographic article which stated basically that from the early 1600s to the late 1800s, about half of the forests in North America had been sort of brought down. How does that differ to what we're seeing today?
Yeah, you are correct. I mean, we have had this transition from very forested country to much less forest, and we had that in Europe during the Industrial Revolution, in the US. The difference is that at that time there was something like 500 million people living on Earth, and there were still a lot of tropical forest untouched, lots of boreal forest untouched. What is happening now is we are next to 8 billion, and there is very little untouched, so that there is no more large or very little amount of rainforest left. There is very little amount of primary temperate forest left. So we are seeing the same phenomenon that we saw something like 400 or 500 years ago, but with a population that is almost 10 order of magnitude bigger and very little untouched place in the world. So we need to keep the primary forest we are left, because if they disappear, I mean, they will never reappear.
And how do you do that?
Well, that's a difficult question, because if someone had the right answer, maybe the deforestation will stop. But I think it's a mix of various policy intervention. I mean, first, you have to remove any perverse incentive that makes profitable to cut forest. You need to provide incentive for people to keep forests, because if there is no any other choice, people will cut the forest to plant their cassava, and because they need that to eat. So it's a mix of removing the perverse incentive that exists in terms of agriculture, extensive livestock or commodities, and giving an incentive for the local population for them to keep their forest. And for that, you need to give them the right to their forest, the right to their product, the right to say something, so that decisions are not taken by only central government that have not a direct stake on what is happening to the forest.
I understand all that, but when the world's population is 8 billion and when there's an increased demand for biofuels and lumber and timber and this perceived value that cut down forest is actually more valuable, it's not an easy task.
No, and it's true that if you look at the economic value of an oil palm plantation compared to an economic value of a standing forest, if you look only at the financial element, I mean, the oil palm is much more valuable. But if you look at all the externalities, or all the ecosystem services provided by the forest, climate, water, carbon storage, then suddenly the amount is not the same. The problem is that the people that are benefiting from the global ecosystem services are not necessarily the people cutting the forest and benefiting from the immediate financial return of cutting the forest.
All right. Robert Nasi, live for us from Indonesia. Thank you very much for coming on. I do appreciate your analysis.
Thank you very much.